How can a single scene like this evoke such deep emotions while remaining beautifully simple? Through the prism of Jujutsu Kaisen, we're gonna dive deep into how to get that framing right to achieve absolute cinema. Yeah. First of all though, you may ask, what is framing? What even is a composition? Let me explain. Composition is how elements within the frame interact with each other to portray ideas, feelings we want to pass to the other side. Framing, on the other hand, is the placement of the object or characters within the frame. Having a good foundation is having a stable ground. So, let's start with the most important rule of all, and one you've already seen. Rule of thirds. The simplest way to visualize this concept is by thinking about when you take photos with your phone. I'm sure you've noticed the 3-on-3 grid that appears. This grid represents the rule of thirds in action. The key idea is to position your subject along the lines or at the intersections, which are known as power points. Thanks to that, we can guide the viewer's eye through what happened, what's happening, and what can happen. You can say that you lead the person on the other side almost like in a dance. One of the ways to lead in this dance would be to use the leading room, the positioning of your subject within the scene and the direction of their gaze. If your subject resides on the left side of the frame, they should be gazing toward the right. Otherwise, the audience will be led astray in confusion, which also can be used to your advantage. Now we drift a little bit further into the leading lines. Lines that already exist in the frame show us the way straight to the point of interest of our scene. Our eyes naturally will go along these lines, bringing them to the main subject. If we take 2 steps back and put a frame within a frame, what will that make? Frameception of a character makes them stand out more. By being isolated from everything else in the scene, it can have a very strong effect if used properly. Why not use the most basic but also one of the most effective tools we have at our disposal? As you know, in the scene there are 3 main planes: background, middle ground, and foreground. Knowing that and having depth of field at our side, we can decide which ground is focused, making others in exchange blurred. What that does is forces our eyes to be focused on that plane. More depth and dimension stuff for that absolute cinema? Check. We can also use it totally the other way and make everything sharp. For example, to show the area or to show the effects of a specific action. Yeah. Speaking about flashbacks, ever had that itch for things to be perfectly symmetrical and balanced like all things in the world should be? Yeah, that's the rule here. If there is a balance in the frame, we are blessed. We are good. The easiest way to apply this is to put the subject in the middle of the frame and make surroundings point towards them. It doesn't always need to be the case though. Pure perfection. In the realm of visual storytelling, alongside symmetry, there is also asymmetry, which emerges as a powerful spell, casting an enchanting imbalance upon the frame. Here the subject or elements of the scene are deliberately positioned off-center, conjuring an air of tension and dynamic movement. One of the ways to achieve that is using a specific camera angle, to be exact, a Dutch angle, which I personally love. Where there is a light, there is also a shadow. And how can we use that to our advantage? Playing with light can give us a really cinematic feeling to the shot, as well as pure horror. I love that scene. To add a little bit more of that cinematic feeling, we can do two additional things. Ever heard of rim light? To put it simply, it's a technique that highlights the lines of the subject using the light behind them. To top it off, around the lighter parts, add a bit of a bloom, making the light softer and more pleasing to the eye. Yeah, all the techniques we just talked about come down to this. What I want you to remember is that you are the vessel that holds all of the ideas, so never stop and broaden your horizons. With careful thought and intention, rules can be bent, allowing for creative freedom in your storytelling journey. While watching the next series, try to focus on things we've talked about today and see how these masterpieces are created to give you an unforgettable viewing experience. So you can also do the same with your next creation. Throughout this episode, you've seen many scenes where one specific color is dominant in the frame. What those colors can mean and how can we use them, you can check right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on another quest.